Hey guys, it's Renata, Intuitive Growth Coach. Today let's talk about some fears, specifically a fear of judgment that we all had or still have, and that kind of prohibits us from taking action. Whether we want to do a Facebook Live, whether we want to approach a person that we don't know, whether we want to do something new that requires stepping out of the comfort zone, we can get it and kind of hit the wall because we're afraid that someone's going to judge us based on how we look, based on what we say, based on how we appear, how perfect we are. So to me, based fear of judgment goes hand in hand with the standards, with how perfect we want to be, what our level of perfection that we require from ourselves and expectation of others. Okay? And also, that goes hand in hand with self-confidence. Do we have enough or we lack some? How we see ourselves, and do we have high or lower standards of ourselves? Make sense? So there are three questions that I want you to ask when you kind of hit the wall and you're afraid to do something. Let's say you want to do that same Facebook Live, or you want to approach a new client, or you want to make a post about something that you've never talked about, okay? I want you to ask yourself, number one, how often, or if you ever, judge other people based on how they look, how they express themselves, what kind of mistakes they make, if they make any, or how imperfect they show up. Do you ever think, oh, this person is this and that, or they could do this and that, and they're so bad at something, or they're so good at something? That's also a judgment, by the way. So I want you to really take a closer look at how often you do that, or if ever you do that. And I want you to kind of reverse the tables. So I could almost guarantee that 99% of the time you don't even think about judging others. You just embrace how they look, how they present themselves, that they're brave enough to come out of their shell and do something, right? And you kind of don't really look into those imperfect things. You take them as authenticity, as them being authentic, right? So look at that, and I want you to kind of also think why it is so important for you what other people think of you. How would they see whether it's bad or good judgment? Write those things down. That will give you a much clearer picture of what's going on and why you have that fear of judgment, okay? Number two, I want you to ask yourself, what is the worst thing that can happen to me even if someone puts some kind of judgment, if someone expresses that judgment, if they don't like me, if they don't like what you say, if they don't like how you look? What's the worst that can happen? Would you suffer about it? Would you be frustrated? Would you just say, oh, whatever? How can you handle that reaction? And can you handle that reaction? That's the most important thing, right? So I want you to take a look at those questions and just ask yourself, what's the worst that can happen? And how can you handle all this? If you just can say to yourself, oh, it doesn't matter what that person thinks of me, or I don't care if they judge me, then why even worry about it? Okay? If you do care, I want you to ask why you care so much about that. Okay? And number three, how would you feel and think about yourself when you actually do something and go out of your way, go out of your comfort zone, and do that thing anyways, despite of that fear that you have? I want you to specifically write it out. How would that make you feel? And what kind of thoughts would you have about you, about yourself, about doing that thing that you're so afraid of because you're afraid of being judged? Okay? I want you also to remember a few things from your past when you were really afraid of doing something, showing up, whether it's being visible or the same live or video or talk to people or giving a speech, anything, okay? And when you really nailed it, I want you to remember that feeling and how it felt, okay? And next time you do something that you're really afraid, I want you to first go back into that memory, pick out that feeling, those emotions, and I want you to hold them inside of you, and holding those emotions, go do whatever you want to do, despite the fact that you're really fearful. Okay? Well, I hope that helped, and I would love to hear from you what those answers are to your questions and what you think about that. Whether those 3 things may help you or not. And I just want your feedback. Just tell me how things go, okay? And I'll see you next time. Bye.